What's up, everyone? It's Doug the Dog Guy, and I am here with the one and only Scott Black. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great, Doug. How are you?
Good, good. Scott is one of my all-time favorite people in the pet industry. He is incredible. He's been in business for 18 years, and he was the 2010 Pet Sitter of the Year. And we met each other for the first time at the Texas Pet Sitters Conference like 2 years ago. And Scott just kind of took me under his wing, and I've learned so much from him over the last couple of years, and he always keeps me laughing.
Well, better to laugh than cry, right?
Yeah, we've done some of that too.
Yeah.
Give everybody a little back of the napkin about your business and what you do.
Well, I am a solo one-man band operating a pet sitting business in Kingwood, Texas, suburb of Houston. And, I offer midday dog walk service and basically drop in pet sits for people that travel.
Yeah.
I'm a less is more kind of guy, keep things very simple.
Yeah. That's something that you bring up a lot when I hear you talking to other pet sitters here. We're at the Pet Sitter World Conference in Winston-Salem, North Carolina right now. And so we're all sharing ideas and getting to know each other and getting to know how our different businesses operate. And this is something that is really interesting about you, and something that I think is not talked about enough is, our industry has gone so heavily into the technology and the software, and all that's good. You guys that watch my YouTube videos know that I use Time to Pet, I use software and stuff, but it's not right for everyone. It's not right for every business. And Scott has had an amazing award-winning business for 18 years, and he's kept it simple.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about how and why you've gone about it that way.
Well, part of the problem is I really am technically challenged, but no, seriously. Back when I started, there wasn't a lot of pet sitting software out there. So I found other alternatives to, Excel invoices or an Excel spreadsheet for your calendar. And even though I still use a hard copy daily planner, technology is great until it's not. I've had my computer crash with my calendar, so I still write everything down. But I've worked with an Excel calendar for years, and I can do it, tab it out by month, and tally up my visits for the week, down for the month.
Yeah.
It works for me. So when the pet sitting software started becoming more and more popular, as a solo operator, I didn't see it right for my business model. And then I was using QuickBooks for invoicing and bookkeeping, and that's it. I'm an Excel and a QuickBooks guy. That's how it works for me. Now, I'm not anti-software. I just don't think it's right for me.
Right.
I know so many sitters that swear by it.
Yeah. It's allowed you to really give your clients a personal touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and something that it rings in my head every time I see a missed call on my phone is you saying to me 2 years ago at the Texas Pet Sitters Conference the importance of calling everyone back. And just small things like that some of us just kind of forget about, or we say we're too busy to do, and giving your clients that personal touch is incredible.
Well, I mean, a missed call is a missed call, but, a voicemail, of course, you want to return it. I'm sure we all get tons of missed calls for solicitations every day on our business lines. But, I am very old school when it comes to that. And I think it could be where I'm at in my business and where I'm at in my life. I'm not getting any younger. I'm proud to say I turned 60 this year.
All right.
But I know what I would want as a consumer. And I think that also is a big part of how I run my business.
Right. You were talking last night about when you're speaking to a client on the phone and they hesitate before answering a question.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff we cannot see that. We can't feel that over an intake form on our website.
Exactly. And, again, there's no right or wrong way. You know me, I have the gift to gab. And I find I can establish a relationship pretty quick with a potential client. That they get to know me and I get to know them a little bit, because again, something on a piece of paper, it's hard to interpret sometimes.
Right.
And, I always feel that when I'm done talking to that client on a screening or that initial discussion, and I say, hey, when can I come and meet, Fluffy or Max or Charlie or whatever, and meet you and the family, um, you know, there's a lot of times, how soon can you get here? Or, well, we need to think about it. So, to me, I try to keep things simple. Like I said, less is more, but I try to weed out the nonsense.
Yeah.
Like I don't put dates on my calendar until we have a meet and greet scheduled.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people do shop for pet sitters, and that's fine. Um, but don't call me today and talk to me, and then a month later come back and said, "Oh, well, we decided to go with you." Well, I'm sorry, those dates are already long gone.
Right.
I mean, as a one person, one man band, I can't wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks for you to get back to me. So, and I
Right.
explain that. I joke and call myself Mr. Cellophane. I'm very transparent, but you have to be. You
Yeah.
have to be. And 18 years in, and the community that I live in and work in, they understand that. And I'm very fortunate to get the referrals within the community
Right.
and other pet related businesses, veterinarians, pet retail, mom and pop pet retail chains, groomers, and other pet sitters,
Right.
that we network with.
That's something that's so inspiring. Hearing you speak is that Scott does not have a team. He doesn't have an employee, but he has an incredible network of local pet sitters that all work together. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I've always been, and we were talking about this, when I was the new kid on the block, I tried to introduce myself to existing pet sitters, and they wouldn't give me the time of day, all but one. And she let me pick her brain, and then I kind of am the old man now, and I try to open myself up to pet sitters. Actually, my current pet sitter that watches my dogs, I'm also her pet sitter, and I think to date, her meet and greet was the longest meet and greet I ever did because she was picking my brain about what she wanted to do when she retired. And I think it was a 4 hour meet and greet. And I told her, go to petsit.com, and
Yep.
like I made her go to her first anyway, we're still friends. She's my go-to for the backup. When I'm not available, I refer her out. But you know what? It's a customer service because even I'm sure you've had to say no with 30 employees.
Right. Right.
You can't be available 100% of the time for every client that you have.
Right.
And when you're got 30 employees and saying no, and you're one guy and saying no, but I always like to, and I will say that Colin Funkhauser, I will give him credit for this, the no but,
Yeah.
that you can still offer a service and say, geez, I'm sorry, Doug, I'm not available, but
Right.
here's the name of someone else that can help, might be able to help you. I never say can,
Right.
might, because you don't know their availability. However, it's still a customer service. I am so old school and very customer service driven, and sometimes I think technology. Let me see how I want to say this. Sometimes I think technology takes that out of the equation a little
Totally.
bit because some people don't want to talk to someone.
Right.
And that technology, go to my website or go to my portal and fill out a client information sheet or do this or do that, where I like to call you back and say, hey, Doug, tell me about your dog or your cat, or what's the routine? And just hearing the inflections in your voice, I can hear how much you love your dog or your cat, or, what's the normal routine? And that's how I roll.
Right.
The written word could be misconstrued. And, again, and being a male in the industry, as you know, and I know
Right.
you have men and women on your team, I always find out, one of my first questions is, how do your dogs or cats do with men?
Right.
Because if they're not good, I'm out. And that's when I talk about the network again.
Yeah.
Who wants to stress an animal out,
Right. Right.
I mean, I got into this because my love of animals, I think we all do, but it is a business. And the liabilities that are involved when you go into a client's home, especially with a pet that's not sure of you.
Right.
Why would you do that? I mean, you know,
Right. Right.
and I have a blind deaf dog of my own, and I have one that could be a little reactive. So I see it in my own home that I'm like, why would I put a dog through that? You know, I mean, we all hear you'll never see my cat while we're gone, you know.
Yeah.
And then Fluffy pokes her head out and go,
Yep.
"Hi, Uncle Scott," you know. But it may take a couple days, but it happens. But you know what I'm saying. I, at this stage of my career, when red flags start popping up, and that's the nice thing about having that conversation, because red flags can pop up on your side.
Right.
Because again, being so transparent, I'm going to tell you right off. I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable doing what you're asking me to do.
Right.
And off leash this and this and that, and just open the front door and let the dog out to potty. No,
Right.
no. If your dog's outside there on a leash, you know,
Yep.
I have policies in place to protect their pets.
Right.
You know, you want to do that when you're home, okay?
Right.
Not on my watch. You know, I have, you know, believe me, 18 years in, and you've probably learned in 10 years what it took me 18 years to learn. But, you know, it takes a long time to recover from a chewing out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You learn by your mistakes. And,
Yep.
you know, you knock wood, I've never had an insurance claim and things like that. But, you know, things can happen. And you know, you just got to go with your gut and know that if you're not comfortable,
Right.
you know, I always say if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't sit right for you, don't do it, you know. But that's also part of my less is more philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, I try to go through life like that. I inherited that philosophy back 100 years ago when I wanted to be an actor and studied in New York. And one of the great acting teachers always said, don't overact, less is more.
Yeah.
And I think about that and I go, well, you know what? And that's how I've kind of modeled my business. I charge the same price for the same amount of time. I don't offer multiple packages for midday dog walks or any of that stuff. You know, it's just 30 minutes of my time is this.
Right.
Boom.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. This is something we agree so much on. And we were laughing last night as we see the post in the different pet sitter groups about people arguing over what to charge for this and should I do this and should I turn this into a package? And I'm like, keep it simple.
I mean, to
Keep
me,
it
that's
simple.
just a bookkeeping nightmare.
Yeah. It's a bookkeeping nightmare. It's a scheduling nightmare. Just keep it
Yeah.
simple.
And, you know, you want me to Monday through Friday? Okay. A half, 30 minutes a day at this rate, that's.
Right. Right. And all of this at the end of the day really
I don't
just
even have to use a calculator for that anymore, you know?
Right. Yeah. I still have to use a calculator. I don't know.
You know, but I think in life too, and as I'm getting older, and, you know, I don't want to say, I mean, I would like to slow down a little bit if I can.
But you have the busiest October ever
I
coming
do,
up.
I do.
So.
I'm lucky I'm here. I was able to squeeze the time out to come to the conference, but, you know, I just think keeping things simple is right for me.
Right.
And that's the thing about our industry. And I say this sincerely. People know me. I'm a cut up and I joke about a lot of stuff. But when it comes to the business, I am really sincere. And I think people just need to do what's right for them.
Right.
There's no right or wrong way to run your business. You know, be professional, be honest. And, you know, what is it? Say what you do, what you say.
Say what you mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's basic customer service skills. And, you know,
Right.
return a phone call, return an email. You know, you don't have to apologize every time you say no to somebody. But again, for solo sitters that are booked, beyond booked, it's okay to say no. It's hard. No one wants to say no. It took me many years to feel comfortable saying no. As a matter of fact, before we started recording this, I got a text for this month. I'm going to have to say no.
Yeah.
It is what it is, you know. Again, my less is more is also about quality care. I'm not going to compromise the quality of care to people I've made a commitment to work in another, you know, 3 visits a day for 5 days for another, you know, family where I know it's going to jeopardize somewhere along the way.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't take much, as other pet sitters know, inclement weather, traffic,
Yeah.
you know, school zones, rush hour.
Right.
you know, anything can and will slow you down. God forbid there's an emergency at a home on your calendar. You go to a visit and the pet is sick, or there's a problem at the house. You know, we're more than just pet sitters, you know?
Right. We're so much more than just pet sitters.
And I don't think Joe Q Public realizes that.
Right.
But we really are. And I mean, I wear that badge proudly.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there have been plenty of times where you just have to rise to the occasion and go,
Right.
oh my God, if this is my house, what would I do? I mean, I've had that with leaks and flooding and
Oh, yeah.
all sorts of stuff. And I mean, if I was home, I'd be in the corner rocking fetal, you know, going, oh my God, my house is flooding.
Yeah.
But at a client's house, you just got to go, oh my God, what do I do?
Yep.
All right, where's the water shirt? I always ask on my meet and greets, where's the main water cutoff, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because I've had to deal with floods.
Yep, I ask where that is and the electrical panel.
Yes.
Where's your breaker
Where's
box?
your circuit breakers? Yep.
Yep.
But you know, the questions I ask people, even about their HVAC company or their plumber or an electrician, you know, that if something goes on, living in Houston, it gets pretty hot in the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
And if someone's AC goes out, the houses get hot really quick.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I would hate for a dog to be in a 90-plus degree home.
Yep.
I mean, I can't fix it, but if I know who they use, I can say, hey, you know, can you get over here and take a look until I can get a home of the Smiths or the Joneses or,
Right.
you know,
right.
and people like, wow, you would do that? I said, well, I'll do the best I can, you know? I
Right.
said, I can't fix it, but I could prevent it from getting worse.
Right.
And, you know, I kind of cover the bases, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I do, again, the personal touch is, I do what I hope someone would do for me in my absence. And I kind of look at it that way.
Yeah.
And would I be comfortable paying this or doing that?
Right. Right.
You know, and you know, pet sitters have a lot of a difference of opinion to my philosophy.
Right. Well, that's what's so beautiful about all of this, and especially coming to conferences like where we are now, is that we can share ideas. You know, something that works great for Scott may not work great for me, or it could work great for me, but we don't know if we don't discuss it and try it and get to know each other. And,
Or you might take a small piece of that and say, well, you know what? I can tweak my thing by adding this.
Exactly.
Not the whole thing, but this.
Right. Right. And I mean, just calling people back, that is something I was so guilty of for years, is I would get these voicemails. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I got to keep moving. And after talking to you, I'm like, no, I have to call everyone back now. And it's just,
And has it come back full circle yet, where I called Doug the dog guy and he couldn't help me, but he gave me the name of someone who could?
Exactly. People remember that. People remember how you made them feel, the impact that you had on their day. And it's just, like you said, giving them what you would want for yourself.
It frustrates me no end when I call for service. I actually had my gas grill, one of the burners cracked, and I couldn't order the parts, so I had to find someone who fixed gas grills, right?
Yeah.
They were so good. And I'm like, this is service. And, you know, it took a couple of weeks to get the part, and, you know, but these guys kept us in the loop they were kind of like a mom, pa, little, you know, but they charged us. They didn't budge from their estimate, you know, and apologized for the delay. And it's like, it's all right. You know, I get it. Supply chain issues. I get it, you know, but they were wonderful. And, you know, I mean, I have their information, you know, I will give their name out to anybody I know that, you know, now might have a gas grill that needs some work.
Yeah.
You know, just things like that. I'm all about word of mouth.
Oh, yeah.
My business has grown through word of mouth. You know, I'm continuing to grow my business one client at a time based on availability.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's only so much you can do in a day. And we were talking about pet sitters not having real jobs.
Yeah.
and I joke and say, well, I'll tell you what, you meet me at a Starbucks at 6 a.m. tomorrow and follow me until I go to bed tomorrow night, and you'll see how unreal the day a pet sitter can be. I mean, it's a very rewarding job, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's nights,
It's hard
weekends,
work.
Holidays. It is a lot of hard work. I mean, it's not just, you know, happy tails and whisker kisses. You know, 90% of the time it is.
Yeah.
But that other 10%.
We get emotionally involved,
It's the emotional involvement. You know, in 18 years, I have clients that are on their second or third set of dogs.
Wow.
And when they've lost pets in the past, I think, like you said, the emotional attachment and investment that we put in our clients' pets, and I don't even like the word client or customer.
Right.
I joke about being Uncle Scott, and like they're my families. Like it or not, I become Uncle Scott.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It really is. I mean, this year I've seen so much pet loss too amongst
Yeah.
my pet care families, and it's just hard. It's just so hard. You don't. There's really no. I still haven't found the right words to express.
Yeah.
I mean, having gone through it myself, last year was a bad year for me with personal pet loss.
Right.
But with clients, it's hard. I'm sorry. I always have a little thing that I write or quote. I call it my quote, but I've taken bits and pieces from other things. And, the great thing about pets is that we can give them a peaceful transition,
Right. Right. Yeah.
But it's still hard. It's one of the hardest decisions you'll ever make as a pet parent.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
and I mean, how many times have you had a family come to you and say, Doug, is it time? What do you think?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's another thing that, I might not see a dog for 6 months, and I'll come back and I'll go, wow, what a change.
Right.
He's slowed down. He's this, he's that.
Yep.
And then you go, do I mention it
Right.
or not?
Yep.
And I believe me, my former pet sitter with one of my personal dogs hadn't seen her in a couple of months, and she came back and she's like, Scott, Roxy has changed a lot since. And when you're there day to day, you don't see it, the subtle change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was so glad she said something because, a lot had changed, and I just didn't see it in her. But it's funny, you see it in client pets or other, your pet sitting families, their pets. Right. And,
that's something I had a big struggle with that just like 2 months ago. This dog I've been taking care of for years, and I hadn't seen her in a few months, and I showed up and I could tell immediately that this was going to be my last time seeing her.
That's the worst, absolute worst.
Yeah, and I don't think the family realized it yet. I could tell from the way that they were talking that they hadn't really grasped it yet. And the whole week that I was there with her, I kept asking myself, and I was calling Cole and like, do I say something to the client? How do I bring this up? And I finally decided I have to say something. I have to make sure that they're aware.
Yeah. Well, and there's a good way. You just don't blurt it out. But, I've always, when I give updates, I'll text a client whether, an update once or twice a day, depending on what their wishes are.
Right.
Some clients don't even want to be bothered,
Yeah. Yeah.
No news is good news, Scott, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I might say, hey, I noticed, it's been a couple of days since you've been gone, and I noticed, so-and-so's having a hard time getting up, or, female dog, squatting a lot when you go out, could be a UTI, or, is she just having a hard time supporting her back end, and a lot of times they'll say, oh, yeah, we know about that, and, thank you for saying something. And other people, I mean, I wonder sometimes, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, if people actually pet their dogs. I can't tell you how many. I mean, so many breeds are prone to the little fatty tumors, and as they get older, the lumps and the bumps.
Yep.
But I'll say, hey, I was petting so and so, and I noticed that there's a lump under his right armpit, or
Right.
And oh yeah, we know about that. But thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trained in pet first aid and CPR. I mean, some pet sitters are also vet techs, but we're not veterinarians.
Right.
We're not vet techs, nor have we ever played one on TV, But, when you're with your clients, I mean, the pets really become the client, or
Right.
It's all about them.
Right.
That, I feel it's my responsibility that if I notice something, to share it. Because in some cases, they didn't know about it, and it did turn out to be a malignancy, or and you hate that.
Right.
But
You're
when
glad
it's caught
that you
early,
said
when it's caught
something.
early,
Yeah. That's with Miss Gidget, this dog I lost a couple months ago.
I had a Gidget.
Oh.
Oh, she was, Miss Gidget. She was the princess, man.
Yeah. Her family though was so appreciative that I said something, you
Yeah.
know, and they said, you know, we noticed she had gone downhill a little bit, but we hadn't noticed everything that you pointed out, you know, and they just so appreciated the honesty, the
Well,
transparency.
and you know that's the thing too. Again, my whole part of my even from that initial phone call, going back to that, I know we've been all over the map,
Yeah.
but I tell people I want to work with you, not for you. Yes, we
Yes.
are a service for hire, but I want to know all the little ins and outs of the pets and their personalities, and that I need to be the best me I can be when you're not there, and some people will always see you as the guy that's coming to scoop the litter box or walk my dog or as a hired service, and that's okay. But when I say I want to work with you, you almost, when I talk about the hesitation, sometimes there's a hesitation after that where people take a sigh and they go, "Wow, this guy's like into his job,"
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like almost like a sigh of relief that this person cares.
Right.
And again, my business is really kind of a niche business in the community. I've sized down my service area. I'm still chasing my tail every day, but which is good. It's keep me going. But the people that call me have gotten my name, like I said, from an existing pet sitting family, a vet. I for some reason lately, there's one clinic that gives me out for the seniors, and I actually have a client who's partially paralyzed.
Wow.
And the vet was like, "Well, who's your pet sitter?" And they said, "Scott." They said, "Good, because if not, I was going to tell you to call him because he knows how to express a dog's bladder, because I've had to do it, and this
Yeah.
dog needs to be expressed." I mean, not the highlight of my day, but
It's important
it's
though.
very important. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
very, and the family can go out of town knowing that their sweet little Lily is gonna, be able to eliminate 3 times a day
Right.
with some help. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But it's I've established relationships with the vets. Um, it's things that we do. I remember 100 years ago, I walked in and found a dog that was suffering from vestibular disease, and I had no idea what that was. I
Wow.
thought the dog had a stroke, honestly,
Wow.
and I didn't know about it. And I called the vet and said, "I'm on my way," and they're like, "Oh, he's having another bout." So the client never told me he suffered from this.
Oh wow.
Well, I said, they said, "Leave him here. We'll monitor him for the day." I said, "Well, when I come back to pick him up, I want to be in a room with Dr. So-and-so,
Yeah.
And I went in there with my little legal pad, and I said, "Talk to me like I'm an idiot. You're sending him home with this on anti-nausea medicine and this." And if you're not familiar with vestibular disease, it's a whole inner ear thing, and
Right.
it's kind of like vertigo, and like bed
Yeah.
spins. Have you ever had the bed spins?
Oh yes.
But that's kind of like that's why the dogs always walk.
Right. Right.
Anyway, and I said, "Talk to me like I'm an idiot. Why is he getting this medication? Are we withholding food? Blah 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 blah. All of this stuff." And she goes, "Scott, now I know why people talk about you."
Wow.
And I said, she said, "You, as far as I'm concerned, you're the only pet sitter I will ever refer out of this
Wow.
clinic." And then apparently she called the client and said, "Rudy had another bout, and you don't know how lucky you are." I mean, that client
That's
is no longer a
incredible.
client for many other reasons, but, what do you do? I mean, then, you also have, I mean, I don't like to joke about it, but, when you have animals in a home and you go 3 times a day and they're fine at breakfast, fine at dinner, and had expired by bedtime, I mean, it's a pet sitter's nightmare.
Oh yes. Been there.
Again, I try to find humor in things. We won't go into it, but sadly, that was really difficult.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Really difficult.
Yeah.
But you just kind of have to. And I will say that I think taking pet first aid training and all sorts of other things that I have been very fortunate to learn at conferences and throughout my pet sitting career is that you have to assess the situation,
Right.
and you need to do what you need to do, and
Right.
then of course once all was said and done, later that night driving home, I cried the whole way home.
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
but at the time you just kind of spring into action,
Right.
and it's
As pet sitters, we're kind of problem solvers, we're project managers, we're we're everything in
well,
between.
I think PSI has the best. I know I've got a T-shirt that they put out years ago that said professional pet sitter because superhero isn't a real job or something.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
true. It's
Yeah.
true.
It is. It is.
We wear many hats. It's not just playing with animals, and it makes our days fun. But again, I circle back to my niche little. It works for me.
Right.
And I mean, I think in some respects, bigger businesses still can keep things on the small,
Right. Right.
by keeping things simple. You can
Yes.
continue to grow,
Yeah. That's been one of the secrets to my business.
but keeping
Yeah.
simple. When I say less is more, I don't mean less staff, less this, less that, but just keeping policies like even for your
Right.
employees. If you have an employee handbook, bing, 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 bing,
Yeah.
just
Yep.
keep it.
Oh yeah, my first net handbook was like 70 pages long,
Yeah.
and then I had people not knowing what was in the handbook. And
Right.
it finally, after a couple of years, dinged in my head. Oh, they're not going to read a 70-page handbook.
Exactly.
I need to boil this down to as few pages as possible. And guess what? They read it now.
Did you make them read it and sign it?
Oh yes.
No, but I think in everything we do, keep it simple. I mean,
Yeah.
it's less stressful.
It is. Yeah.
And maybe that's where I'm at in my life right now is I just want the least amount of stress.
Yep. Yep.
I don't want clients stressing me out. I don't
Yep.
want family stressing me out.
And it shows. It shows because you always light up the room. You make everybody laugh and smile, so it shows.
No, that's because I'm a clown at times. I'll admit it, but again, I like to bring the energy level up at these conferences because I've been coming since 2007, haven't missed one since 2007.
Wow.
And, being with hundreds of other pet sitters from around the country, and I believe we have one from the Netherlands here this year.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah. You guys are family. It's accountability partners.
Yep.
We don't see each other every day or talk to each other every day, but having your phone number or your email address, being
Yep.
able to say, "Hey, Doug, what would you do in this situation?"
Yep.
Where we start to overthink things, and that's when I need someone to ground me to keep the less is more, to keep it
Right.
simple.
Right.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
you start overthinking something and go, all right, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've all been there. We've all
yeah.
been there, and
I'm bad about overthinking
Yeah.
things.
yeah. But you know what I mean. It's a win-win for everybody. And like I said earlier on, there's no right or wrong way to run your business, as long as it works for you and your clients.
Right. I think that's a great way to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell everyone where they can find out more about you and your business and get in touch with you.
Well, it's Personal Touch Pet Sitting out of Kingwood, Texas. You can email me at ptps@comcast.net, and my website is www.petsit.com/ptps. I also do have a Personal Touch Pet Sitting Facebook page.
Yeah. And while you're on the petsit.com, go ahead and look at everything that Pet Sitters International has to offer.
Yes.
We are both very proud members of the organization. We're both Pet Sitters of the Year, so we love it. We love it. Shout out to you, PSI.
That's right. Shout out to PSI.
Yeah. And with that, I'm Doug the Dog Guy. This is Scott Black, and we are reminding you to stay positive.